Are you struggling with social skills, emotional intelligence, communication, strategic thinking, or success habits while pursuing your dream of quitting your day job to run a successful online business? Welcome to the Life Sculptor Blueprint, a show tailored for determined and resourceful individuals who aspire to enhance their life skills, quit their day jobs, and succeed in owning an online business. This show delivers practical advice and inspirational stories, arming you with the necessary tools to sharpen your life skills and excel at running a successful online business. I'm your host, Jack Wolf. Today, we're diving more deeply into a topic that affects us all: fear. We'll explore how fear can hold you back or propel you forward in relationships, improvement, and business success. So let's get started. Fear is a natural response to perceived danger. It's an emotion that has adapted itself over our lifetime to protect us from harm. For example, the first time you touched something hot, you trained your fear to warn you of any future dangers of getting burned over the course of the rest of your life. This is beneficial use of fear to properly respect potentially dangerous situations. But in our modern world, fear often triggers scenarios that don't pose an immediate physical or rational threat, like speaking in public, starting a new venture, or opening up to someone. The fear is real, and the physical symptoms of fear are powerful, undeniable. They're often debilitating, but why? Studies have shown that fear activates the amygdala, a part of the brain responsible for emotional processing. This can lead to fight or flight responses impacting our decision and making abilities. That's from a Harvard Health study in 2020. When you experience fear, your amygdala is giving you clues and signs that you should not proceed with your intended action. It's working on overdrive to keep you safe. But while fear can be a barrier and stopping us from taking risks, it can also be a motivator, pushing us to prepare and perform better. So think about this. If you fear failing an exam, that might drive you to study harder. If you find yourself in danger, your amygdala will convince your body to perform at its best in order to jump or duck or fight or run away, whatever's appropriate. Interestingly, focusing on reducing regret rather than directly facing fear can be more effective. But how are we going to work through fear so that we can use it as a motivator and not use it as a prohibitor to taking risks and making advances in our personal lives and in our businesses? Let's look at a thought that was featured in the Journal of Behavioral Decision Making 2015. It states that, interestingly, focusing on reducing regret rather than directly facing fear can be more effective. So psychologists suggest that people are more motivated by the desire to avoid regret than by the challenge of confronting fear head on. Let's take a break to consider the story, but I want to hear from you. Please share a moment when fear stopped you from doing something important. Send your stories via social media or email. Let's support each other in overcoming these barriers. Let's hear from Megan.
Hi, everyone. My name is Megan, and I want to share a personal story about a time when fear held me back from doing something important. A few years ago, I had the opportunity to present my research at a major industry conference. It was a chance to showcase my work to leaders in the field and could have significantly advanced my career. But as the date approached, my anxiety skyrocketed. The fear of standing in front of such a prestigious audience and possibly making a mistake was overwhelming. On the morning of the presentation, I was paralyzed with fear. My mind was filled with thoughts of failure and embarrassment. In the end, I backed out and let someone else present my research. While they did a great job, I couldn't shake the feeling of disappointment in myself. I had let my fear dictate my actions, and I missed a valuable opportunity to grow and shine. Since then, I've been working hard to overcome these barriers. I've taken public speaking courses, practiced mindfulness, and sought support from friends and mentors. It's been a challenging journey, but I'm proud to say I've made significant progress. I'm sharing this story because I know I'm not alone in this struggle. Fear can be a powerful force, but it doesn't have to control our lives.
Thanks for sharing, Megan. That is so good. So to the rest of us, if you have a similar story, I encourage you to share it. Let's support each other in overcoming fear barriers. You can send your stories to me, either social media, email, reach out on the Contact Us page. All of these things can be found at posg.life. That's posg.life. Together, we can turn our fears into strengths and achieve our goals. Okay, so we covered the high level of fear. We covered that fear can stop us from re-encountering a bad situation that reminds us of something from the past that harmed us. We can use fear as a motivator to do our best, study harder, try harder to overcome the situation that we fear the most. And we also found that we can face a fear by looking at what we would regret if we do not face the fear, rather than looking at what might happen that is negative if we face the fear. Fear can significantly impact our relationships and our business. Let's go ahead and look at the relationship side of this discussion first. Common fears include the fear of vulnerability, the fear of commitment. These fears can prevent us from forming deep, meaningful connections. They can cause us to withdraw to protect ourselves. They can cause us to shut down, which disables us from being able to actively listen or express ourselves well, or with kindness or with gentleness. Right? Vulnerability is crucial for building intimacy in a relationship. There's an author, famous, her name is Brene Brown, a research professor at the University of Houston. She emphasizes that vulnerability is the birthplace of love, belonging, and joy. So how do we tackle these fears within the context of relationships? Well, here are some thoughts that I have that we could action on. First, focus on open communication. Share your fears with your loved one rather than trying to hide them, trying to pretend like they don't exist, or fearing the idea of sharing your fears because perhaps you fear manipulation by someone close to you, that they'll use that against you somehow. Just share it. Take all the power out of fear's hands and put it back in your hands. If it's your story to tell, you're the one who's powerful in that story. Honest conversations can alleviate fears and build understanding between people. It will help you become more accustomed to focusing on your why instead of the what in your relationships. This is extremely healthy for revealing heart and intention above actions with no context. So what do I mean here? In a relationship, we often focus on getting things done in the relationship, communicating, talking, listening, doing, right? We're focusing on the pieces that will build the relationship as if they are building blocks, each one stacked upon another. And as long as we keep building, the relationship keeps growing. But oftentimes we're so busy focused in on the what, those building blocks, we're not focused on the why. Why do we love this person? What is it about them that connects us to them and them to us? And how can we further cement the reason why we engage with them in the first place rather than the how? It's the why. And that's what is healthy, right? And when we're afraid, sometimes we press through fear in order to get the thing done without really stopping to consider why we love this person and why we're attached to them. So sharing fears often bridges that gap so that they can come back to us and understand what we're going through. And then we can also acknowledge to them how they must feel when we're not performing in a certain way that they expect, or maybe even that they need. And as we unclothe ourselves and we stand a little bit more emotionally naked in front of each other, then the why begins to cover for the lack of what that is involved in building the relationship. So open communication is critical, whether you like it or not. Number two, gradual trust building. So trust takes time. Sometimes we become frustrated if our partner, our loved one, doesn't always trust us, or if they have a pattern built up in their mind due to past behaviors and we just want to break free. We just want to start on a fresh new page. We just wish that they could allow things to just be lost in the past and forgotten. Let's forgive and move on. But that's not how humanity necessarily works. Some people take time, right? They fear betrayal. They fear getting their hopes up and having them disappointed, right? So trust is something that we earn one step at a time. Allow yourself and your loved one to build trust step by step. Don't insist on pushing them faster or further than they want to go. You both have to recognize baby steps and growth. Talk about your victories in areas of struggles. This is really hard for people who are naturally defensive. They want to come in and prove why they're doing better, why they're being more victorious. But, it's more important that the other person see the victory, acknowledge it, and speak to it. So sometimes in your trust building conversations, you just have to kind of nudge them towards seeing ways that you've behaved more differently, but the victory is in when they say, yes, I see that. And wow, you did such a great job. And that cements the trust a little bit deeper within their heart. So help each other learn to celebrate those victories and establish new history for trust to grow. Here's the secret, though. You can't keep returning to your bad behaviors and expecting a fresh start every time. So if you really want to build trust and there's a behavior that is really hindering that trust from growing, you have to stop. There is a balance, just in case you may be thinking that I've been advocating for a lack of responsibility or ownership of oneself and your consistent bad behavior. That is not at all what I'm saying. If you have questions around, well, how am I supposed to just stop this behavior? It's so ingrained in what I do. Well, you have to have a new conviction. New firm conviction is what changes a behavior. It's not focusing in on doing the behavior less. It's not focusing in on tools and skills to help you stop doing something. The more you focus on the thing you don't want to do, the more you're going to do it. It takes a significant conviction to override behavior and habit. So focus in on what is the thing that you want more than anything else, and all the behaviors will start to align with the desire. But enough about that. Let's go back to trust. This is the kind of trust that I'm talking about. A listener named Sarah once feared opening up about her past to her partner. The underlying issue was a fear that her partner would reject her if he knew the details. So through honest conversations, she began to talk more about these past issues, these things that she was afraid of. And as she did, she found that not only was she accepted, but to her surprise, she found that she built a stronger bond by sharing what was otherwise a secret with the person she loved. So secrets, trusted information, builds stronger bonds. So if you don't trust the person that you love, that you're trying to build a relationship with, I'm not telling you go share some obnoxiously, detrimental secret that would destroy you if this person talked about you. But you can start laying out newer, deeper levels of engagement by revealing pieces of your heart that you ordinarily wouldn't reveal to people who are not considered strong relationships. It can make all the difference in the world. Okay, so fear plays a role in the limits of our personal growth. The fear of failure, the fear of the unknown can limit us from reaching our full potential. Carol Dweck, a psychologist at Stanford University, first introduced the concept of growth mindset. Now that word growth mindset has become such a buzzword, it's actually thrown out as the ultimate antidote to so many emotional and mental struggles. But the growth mindset involves seeing failures as opportunities to learn rather than seeing them as setbacks. That was from a quote in 2006. We all understand the concept of learning from failure, but our ability to go beyond understanding and to actually allow failure to benefit our emotional state, our financial state, and otherwise is a real challenge. You see, fear leaves an indelible mark that debilitates us. When people experience extreme levels of fear, they're led to believe that they're incapable of achieving the thing that they desire. And on top of that, regret convinces them that they're not worthy. Does that sound familiar at all in your life? In essence, if unaddressed, fear gives us the excuse not to go out and conquer the unknown or to achieve a difficult thing, such as establishing your online business or growing it to a new level. As stated before, I find that the most effective motivator when fear is triggering me is to focus on what I will regret if I give in to the fear. So I am considering branching out my business into an unknown area. I believe that I've discovered through testing and through understanding my customer that this will definitely benefit my customer. It's something that they desire. It's something that I can actually offer well. So I've determined it's an area of focus for my personal growth. Fear will tell me things like, but you don't know anything about doing that. Or you will fail and embarrass yourself. Or you will fail and ruin your good reputation, and your business will have so much bad publicity that even the things you are good at will suffer. Right? These are all things that will go through your mind. Maybe there's a fear of disappointing loved ones, your family. Maybe there's a fear of losing money, and that's money that you can't afford to lose, right? There's so many fear statements, and each one is individual and personal. But then if you focus on what will I regret if I don't step out and do that? I will regret hindering my personal growth. I will regret that in 2 years from now, I'll probably be doing the same thing at the same reward. Meanwhile, there are factors that are growing in my life, right? Depreciation, and the economy might be bad at the time. And so my dollar doesn't stretch as far. And so now what I feel like is I'm putting in the same effort and getting less reward in the future. I am going to regret not growing. In my heart, I can tell that if I'm not growing, my business is dying. And that is something I'm simply not prepared to deal with. So what if I don't put myself out there and make an offer to these new customers? Will I be glad that I remain safely in my comfort zone? Will I look back, pat myself on the back and say, you did a good thing when you didn't grow? Will I enjoy remaining stagnant at this current course and speed? Will I regret that I didn't stretch myself to accomplish what I know I could accomplish if I had simply faced the fear, pressed through it, put my mind to it, learned, brought in a coach if necessary, and taught myself how to grow to the next level? So here are some strategies to overcome these fears in the moment. Remember, when fear strikes, we're not actually thinking logically. We're really thinking based upon a feeling that has superseded thought. It's actually affecting us to the core of our bodies. You often feel the stress of fear in your stomach, in your heartbeat, in your mind. Your emotions are speaking so loudly that you can't really logically think straight. Sometimes when fear kicks in, you can't even use your hands well. They feel like you've lost the articulation for fine motor skills. So we have to make sure you know these strategies now and have them handy so that when fear strikes, it's not up to you to recall these things as much as to reference them. So here's your first thought. Allow yourself to set small, manageable goals. It sounds so cliche. Of course, I'm going to set small, manageable goals, but we oftentimes look at the size of the finished product and we have eyes that are bigger than our stomach. And we assume that the goal in front of us that is a smaller, manageable goal is actually something we can accomplish reasonably. And when we find ourselves in the middle of it, we realize, wow, this is so much bigger than I thought it was, right? You're always going to learn about the thing you didn't know, but you won't discover it until you're right in the middle of it. So really be cognizant in advance of breaking your small goals into even smaller goals, because when you achieve a smaller milestone, you can build your confidence for another challenge. So it's better to move forward in small steps than to wrestle with yourself over getting started with a much greater step. Just make some progress. Don't stop. Don't look back. Too many people fail to start something because they think they can't achieve the grandiose dream quickly and easily. They would rather not put any effort into the pursuit in the first place if they can't have the end quickly. I would rather be successful at a fraction of my overall dream than to fail at getting started until conditions were perfectly in place. How about you? The second strategy that I have is to embrace a learning mindset. View failures as learning experiences. Each setback is a step toward improvement. You know, it's said that Thomas Edison failed 2,000 times at making the light bulb. When asked if he viewed those 2,000 failures as a huge disappointment, he simply replied that he didn't fail 2,000 times. He actually learned 2,000 ways not to make a light bulb. A third strategy to consider here is to practice mindfulness like we talked about. Techniques like deep breathing can help manage fear and anxiety, keep you grounded in new situations. Remember how the amygdala is responsible for your fight or flight responses? Taking a slow, deep breath relaxes your amygdala and hacks it while it's being triggered. This is something that I do all the time. Just close your eyes for a second. Breathe so deeply that your lungs feel like they cannot hold any more air. Allow this to be a deep belly breath, and then breathe slowly out through the mouth. Do that several times as needed in order to slow down the amygdala for just enough time to have rational thought and see 1 or 2 steps ahead of you. Okay. You don't have to have your entire plan figured out to counteract this fear. You just have to take 1 or 2 steps out. And as you begin to observe yourself moving forward, your fear will actually relax. Something else to consider is I allow myself to smile a little when I take a baby step, as if I just gave that fear a little jab in the eye. It's an act of defiance against fear itself. Sometimes you have to celebrate small wins, and you have to realize that the fear doesn't hold power over you. And so by reaffirming that the control over your life is actually within your hands, you can take hold of courage and energy to continue aiming and moving toward your next baby step or milestone. Now, let me give you a little preview of the fact that I am currently writing a book called Transformational Success Habits. I want to teach people how to position themselves for the success that they desire. What I love about habits is that when practiced enough, they allow us to move toward what we want on autopilot. So habits have little to do with your emotional state or your level of energy. Habits, when they take you on autopilot, move you toward actions that follow your plan, no matter how you feel. I'll keep you posted on the progress of the book, but I wanted to let you know that it is on the way if that interests you. So feel free to reach out to me if you want to know more about that. Also feel free to do some research on your own as well, because let me tell you, if your habits aren't in alignment with your dreams, then your dreams are not going to happen. Okay, in this segment, we're going to discuss how fear manifests in the entrepreneurial journey, particularly in running a successful online business. Fear of financial instability, fear of criticism, fear of the unknown, they can all hold you back as aspiring business owners. So let's talk about risk assessment and management. Understanding and mitigating business fears requires a clear evaluation of the risks involved. Rational fears, such as those concerning time, resources, and finances, can be managed through careful planning and strategic thinking. For example, creating a detailed business plan and financial forecast can help you anticipate potential challenges and prepare for them, right? So in this case, a fear can be mitigated by proper planning and execution. On the other hand, we also have what we call irrational fears, which is fear of failure, fear of the unknown, concerns about self-worth, right? Those are not something that can be measured. In fact, they feel more like the monster in the closet that no one else can identify with, but you know is there. These fears often stem from our inner doubt, and they can be more challenging to address than something that you can measure and mitigate through planning and execution. It's crucial to differentiate between these rational and irrational fears. Oftentimes, when you find yourself in the middle of a fear response, you may try to protect yourself by presenting what feels like rational excuses for why you are not dealing with an irrational fear. Perhaps you've met someone like this, right? You have this awesome idea. It makes total sense to move forward. And this person throws out 3 or 4 or 5 or more reasons why that idea is not going to work. And as you hear these excuses laid out quickly on the table, it appears that these are all rational conclusions and they're all stacked, which means they must be right. They have multiple witnesses in their corner. But as you begin to pick each one of those apart, you realize there's no depth to these excuses, to these reasons why your idea won't work. And as you get to that place, you can begin to identify the fact that this is not a rational fear. This is actually irrational fear hiding behind what feel like rational excuses. Recognizing that not all fears are grounded in reality can help you focus on what you can control and what you can let go of because you just simply can't control it. If you find that you are partnered with someone who lives in fear, you're going to find yourself frustrated often. If you find that you are the one who lives in fear and you're partnered with someone else who doesn't share those same levels of fear, you're going to want to pursue self-development to the point that you can let go of irrational fear so that those things are not contributing to the problems that you're facing in your business. You have to be able to get over your own fears and concerns about your self-worth, for example. Your partner doesn't deserve to struggle with those things. If you find yourself partnering with someone who, for example, is not moving forward due to self-worth issues, you have to speak to their heart and help them get to the bottom of that issue, right? If they're fearing failure, you have to be able to be open to have a conversation with them to really pull out that fact that they feel failure. Ask them why, help them to get to the core. What was the original issue in their life that drove them to fear failure to the degree that they do? What will they do about it? Are they going to see a counselor? Are they going to start pursuing some other solution, a book, a practice, a coach? There are plenty of tools out there. What you just want to know is that in your business, you do not want to be held back by fear that is irrational and that is all based on hurt or abandonment or disappointment. In fact, your customers are investing in your product, in your service, because they believe in you, not because they're just overwhelmed with joy about the existence of your product or service, right? So when your customers smell irrational behavior, irrational fear, you are undermining the success of your company. You have to be cognizant of that, okay? You have to be able to project confidence. You have to be able to project peace. And many times your customer is going to know if you are lying to them, if you are living in denial, if you are actually suffering from irrational fear, but yet trying to project a rational sense of confidence. Those two things are in competition. And over time, your personal inner conviction will betray your attempt to keep a facade. And when that happens, it's such a disappointment to the customer, to your partners, to your vendors, right? So never stop pursuing the journey of self-development. And if you have a fear, you have to live in this place where you can become comfortable living in the uncomfortable, become comfortable addressing those things. Never give up, okay? Never settle and never say this is as far as I can go because the responses that are happening within my physiology are too great when I cross this line. Through consistent work and exposure to those things, you can build up a tolerance and move through it. Okay. But your conviction is where you start. Don't settle for anything less than adjusting what you believe in first before trying to take any steps toward remediation or addressing fear. Likewise, building a support network is an effective strategy to gain confidence and reduce isolation in your life. Connecting with mentors and peers and industry professionals can provide you with valuable insights, encouragement, and practical advice. Try to find a coach. Don't always just run to the next guru. And there is a difference, okay? You don't want to blindly copy the method of a guru. You want to get to the core issues that hold you back in your specific circumstance. And a coach can help you see past fears and other perspectives that are overcoming you, and they can help you push through those obstacles and find victory, right? So to summarize that understanding, in my use of the term guru, a guru will give you a pattern to follow blindly. Do the process and it will work. A coach will help you get to the core root issue that's stopping you, and they will give you the tools you need to overcome that obstacle yourself. Okay, so remembering that fear is a natural part of the entrepreneurial journey, instead of letting fear paralyze you, use it as a motivator to drive your preparation and performance. Creating systems for tracking all your details can take a ton of stress off your mind. Strategize and document details well before you begin working. This will help you be creative with your direction. Too many people put themselves in the position of trying to be creative while doubting their focus on one hand and battling their own insecurities on the other, right? And so they find themselves split across too many fronts when there really should be just focused on problem solving. Improving your systems and sticking to those systems, and that's a huge one, can help you shut out some of the noise so you can focus and make steps. And this, going back to habits, is where healthy habits come in place. Strategizing the right system is only half the battle, but habitually sticking to the process is what's really going to make you successful over the long run. So to recap, we explored the multifaceted nature of fear and how it impacts our lives in various ways. We discussed throughout this episode how fear can either be a barrier or a catalyst for growth, and the choice is yours. We discussed fear in relationships, in self-improvement, and running a successful online business. Key takeaways include using open communication to mitigate fears in the relationships, setting manageable goals, and embracing a learning mindset for personal growth. Remember, failure is a teacher and not a disappointment. And conducting thorough risk assessments while building a support network and simple systems that you can stick to for entrepreneurial success over the long term. I encourage you to apply these strategies in your own life. Remember, the goal is not to eliminate fear entirely, but to harness it for growth and success. So fear, when managed effectively, can become a powerful tool in your personal and professional development. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe to the podcast and leave a review. Your feedback helps us improve and reach more listeners who could benefit from our content. Follow me on social media. Look for me on Facebook, POSG Publishing, to stay updated with our latest episodes, and join the community of like-minded individuals striving for growth and success. For additional resources on overcoming fear and other related topics, visit my website, posg.life. There, you'll find articles, tools, and links for further reading that can help you on the journey. Remember, my latest book releases July 9th. It's entitled How to Talk to Anyone, Social Skills Made Easy, Proven Strategies for Mastering Small Talk, Confident Speaking, and Approachable Communication and Networking Success. And it's written, of course, by me, Jack Wolf. You'll be able to find that on Amazon, so set an alarm for July 9th or join my mailing list if you would like to be reminded. Thank you for tuning in today. Remember, you have the power to convert fear into a tool for growth. I'll leave you with this anonymous quote. You're going to love it. Do the thing you fear, and the death of fear is certain. Okay, until next time, keep sculpting your life toward your vision for success. I'm Jack Wolf signing off. Have a great one.